Good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This is a wonderful Tuesday morning for Prevention Action Alliance's Advocacy webinar. Also, happy holidays. Today's webinar is actually going to be a short webinar. Given that it's the holidays, there isn't much going on, and Marcy had a prior commitment, so she will not be on. But today we have myself, Jean-Philippe Dorval, JP Dorval, Manager of Legislative Affairs and Administrative Services, and also our communications manager, Nathan Kraatz, who will be discussing his usual topic, vaping-related illnesses and news updates regarding vaping. So I'm going to pass him the mic in a sec. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I wanted to just express our thanks that you have made time in your busy schedules to be with us today, and we're going to go through some vaping updates real quick. First, I just wanted to share, I was reading a research article yesterday about a rare type of lung disease that's usually found in metal workers that they found in a vaping patient over in Europe. They're theorizing that it's the cobalt in the heating coil that has contributed to this. And so it's just another one of those reminders that the materials that are in your vape are not the only thing you might be inhaling. In fact, the materials that are used to heat it can also be inhaled as well and can contribute to those health issues. Hopefully this is an isolated case and more people won't have any of this illness, but it's just another stark reminder that vaping isn't as safe as people have said it is. There's a growing number of states that are suing the vaping industry. I just saw that Minnesota, Arizona, and Michigan have joined. I believe in Michigan and Arizona, Michigan and Arizona, it's limited to teenagers, but Minnesota itself has jumped in. The state attorney general has jumped in. He wants Juul to stop marketing to young people, to fund an education campaign, to disclose their research, and to surrender all their profits that they've made from selling to underage kids. Another thing I saw is that the newest data is out, and it shows that more than 1 in 4 teens have used an e-cigarette device in the last year. These e-cigarettes are getting a whole new generation addicted to nicotine. We know that last year, that when that research came out, it was 1 in 5. Now it's 1 in 4, and more than half of them have tried it. This is just a stark throwback to Tobacco 2.0, and it's just devastating to see this happening again. Hopefully we can get this leveled off and we can have a robust system of prevention and treatment to help people who are addicted and to prevent people from becoming addicted and from trying it, so we can delay that onset of use. One thing, though, I wanted to take time to point out is the messaging that's around vaping. As I alluded to earlier, the industry has always said that it's somehow safer or safe. Of course, the implication is that it's safe. And we know that's just not true. And it's up to people like you and advocates like us and you to make sure that people know the truth and to help them realize when they're being sold to. No one product is at fault for the epidemic of lung disease that's sweeping the country right now. The vaping industry wants to try and point its finger at black market vapes, and they are overwhelmingly a factor, but they're not the only ones. There are regulated stores and regulated marijuana dispensaries that are also having illnesses tied to them, in fact, even deaths. This is important that people are aware of this and that they're not just being fed these lines and not being sold to, as I mentioned earlier. Right now, I do want to point out that for a while we've included in our newsletter how many different people have been affected in what states. Latest data shows that Alaska now has a case as well, so this has affected all 50 states. There is, let me see, I just saw it, 2,291 hospitalizations reported to the CDC from all 50 states, DC, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and 48 deaths have been confirmed. We'll try to continue updating that data in our newsletter as we go forward, include relevant news about vaping that you might find interesting. There's always something new coming out every day. And one tactic I can always recommend is using a Google News alert or some other sort of curation service that can help put together those stories for you, so that you can keep an eye out for what's going on, not only on this industry, but maybe also in your community as well. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to JP. I really thank you for letting me be a part of your day and a part of this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out directly to me or to him. You can email either one of us. I'm Kraatz, Nkraatz, at preventionactionalliance.org, and JP is JP Dorval at preventionactionalliance.org. His contact should be at the end of the slides as well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for that update. So moving on, first I'm going to discuss a couple of the bills our agency has been keeping an eye on over the last couple of months. And then I'm actually going to have a small or short discussion about the opioid settlement dollars, which I've received a couple questions about. And after that, we should be close to wrapping up. So first bill, House Bill 10, the bill that creates the Office of Drug Policy, is currently stuck in the Senate Finance Committee. The bill passed through, I believe, the Government Agency and Review Committee in the Senate pretty quickly. And now in Senate Finance, they are discussing the actual appropriation, which is the $5.5 million over the 2 fiscal years, just as a reminder. So over the course of this bill's life within the General Assembly, it has become kind of a vehicle to continue the work that Recovery Ohio is currently doing, and that's kind of the identity that this bill has taken. And given that a lot of the senators on the Senate Finance Committee are unwilling to fund the initiatives anymore, they claim that Recovery Ohio already has money, given that the staff of Recovery Ohio are the governor's employees or within the governor's staff, and they claim that they do not see the reason behind giving more funding to that entity so they can just continue what they're doing. So it's a little complicated right now. I know there have been discussions to cut the funding. There have also been discussions to remove the funding. But when it comes to the idea of the office and what the office would stand for and what the office would do, most, if not all, the senators are in agreement that it's beneficial. It's just the fiscal component of it that is under scrutiny right now. As Prevention Action Alliance has said in the past, we are in support of this bill. When it comes to the funding, we don't know how it's going to shake out, but we hope that this bill comes out with enough dollars so that the office can function the way that it was intended to. So as this bill continues to receive hearings and as I continue to receive word on what is happening behind the scenes with this bill, I will let you guys know. House Bill 12 also recently passed out of, I think it was Senate Health, and is set to hit the floor, I believe. The version that was passed out of the House and the version that was passed out of the Senate are different, so there's going to need to be a conference committee to figure out which version of the bill the General Assembly would like to move forward with, or if they can combine the changes that occurred in both the House and the Senate. House Bill 165 and Senate Bill 121. House Bill 165, I have not heard about any movement taking place with that. However, for Senate Bill 121, it did recently receive a 4th hearing. Prevention Action Alliance sent in written testimony in support of that. Just as a reminder, that is the Health Education Standards Bill. Proponents for this bill come from a lot of the behavioral health and really just the health and wellness sectors within the state. It has very strong support. However, the opponents have really honed in on the sex education issue. Even though Senate Bill 121 has a carve-out that says that sex education won't be touched, opponents of the bill are still kind of harking on that, trying to stall it. So that's really where the bill is right now. If you have any additional questions as to how you can help, if you're interested in testifying about establishing health education standards in the state of Ohio, just let me know. As a reminder, the state of Ohio is the only state that does not have health education standards. So this bill is one that we support and is one that we need desperately. And lastly, House Bill 194, the sports gaming bill, is still in the House. It's received numerous hearings and has gone through numerous revisions and amendment additions. However, it is still in the House. Not quite sure if the General Assembly plans to pass it out of the House by the end of this year and the start of the new year, but I will definitely keep an eye on that and we'll let you guys know. Alrighty, so my last main topic for today's webinar is the opioid settlement dollars. And for those of you who are unaware, companies such as Cardinal Health, McKesson, AmerisourceBergen, they are being sued nationwide for their, I guess, trade practices, selling practices, and whatever other strategies they use to sell their opiates to the community. And there are settlements occurring all across the country. Many states are doing this or going into these settlements as a unified source, so they're going in as a state. So New York, for example, is going in as a state to receive these dollars. However, in Ohio, it has been county by county, municipality by municipality. So about 70 counties in the state have sued, along with dozens of municipalities, which makes an interesting situation come about when, as a state, we try to decide as to how we use those dollars, right? So there are a couple different solutions to this that are getting milled around the state. I know Governor DeWine is very pro-community, and he wants the communities to have the final say into how these dollars get used. And when it comes to the Attorney General, he has different plans. He would like the state to collect those dollars and distribute those dollars as the state sees fit. So currently, Attorney General Yost is fighting for the creation and addition of a ballot initiative during the March election that would create a recovery foundation. And the purpose of the foundation would be to distribute funding throughout the statewide recovery trust into the 8 metropolitan opioid abatement regions and the 11 multi-county non-metropolitan abatement regions. So in short, the Attorney General's office would like to pool this money into a recovery foundation, into a trust fund for the state, and then there would be some sort of calculation to decide where those dollars go. This idea, this plan has been met with a lot of skepticism from both the General Assembly and the governor's office. In order for this ballot initiative to take place, the General Assembly would need to vote it in and vote it onto the ballot. And I believe the deadline to file is 2 weeks. As I mentioned before, the governor would like to reach an agreement with local communities that have filed their own litigation before he looks at a statewide plan. And he assures everyone that, or he would like to assure that the state obviously wants to make sure that communities benefit, and the state will need to play a role in how those dollars get used. However, he really wants communities to have the first say in that. So that's pretty much where that is right now. There are a lot of moving parts. I believe Summit and Cuyahoga County already received a $260 million settlement, already finalized a $260 million settlement. So over the next year, over the next couple years, a lot of these counties are going to be receiving hearings, and then settlements will be done or dealt out. And how the state approaches that, we do not know as of this moment. However, we will definitely be keeping an eye out to see how those settlement dollars are used, and to make sure that those settlement dollars go to community-based resources and prevention and things like that. So that is a conversation that we're currently having here. as to what role Prevention Action Alliance will play in that, and if we can make a statement to make sure that those communities receive the dollars in an appropriate fashion. If you have any questions about that, feel free to email me. But as of right now, there's a lot in the mix. There are a lot of moving parts, so we're keeping an eye out on that, and we will keep you guys updated on any developments that occur with these opioid settlement dollars. So there is a medical marijuana advisory committee meeting taking place this Thursday, I believe. This Thursday, December 12th, in the Rhodes Tower. As I mentioned before, there isn't really much. There aren't many updates when it comes to medical marijuana in the state. This is the meeting that Marcy has been waiting with for a while now. And she has a lot of questions, I know. If you have questions that you would like answered as well, feel free to email me, and I will make sure to relay those to Marcy. And for those of you who have Marcy's email, feel free to email her as well, just so that we know how the community feels and what the community wants to know when it comes to the information coming out of this meeting. Besides that, we are actually done for the day. This is Marcy's email up here. And as Nate mentioned, my email is jpdorval at preventionactionalliance.org. So I will leave a couple minutes for questions. However, if no questions come in, we're just going to end this webinar early. So thank you, guys. Alrighty, so it doesn't seem like there are questions rolling in, so I'm going to wrap up this webinar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy holidays if you are traveling, driving, flying, drive safe, fly safe, and we will see you in January in 2020. Thanks. Bye.